Good day, everyone. Thank you for joining us. Today we have Mental Health Talk. The Sapphire Miriam Foundation welcomes you. Let's talk some sense. So today we're going to talk about mental health. And we have with us today Ms. Deborah Gibra, and she's an educational psychologist attached to the Trinidad and Tobago Association of Psychology. And we also have with us today Miss Candice Clark Jofield, and she's attached to the St. Anne's Hospital for the past 10 years, St. Anne's Psychiatric Hospital, as a registered mental health nurse. Okay, so we'll have both ladies with us today, and we'll have a wonderful discussion on mental wellness and mental health. Thank you very much for joining us today, ladies. Let's talk some sense, mental health talk. Thank you. So, Candice,
Hi, morning everyone.
morning. Just give us a little, intro about yourself, and also followed by Deborah.
So, as you said before, Simone, I'm a registered mental nurse with 10 years experience. This simply means that I have been working at the psychiatric hospital. I have worked at the admissions department. I've worked in the community at the mental health clinic, and it is my pleasure serving the population of Trinidad and Tobago.
Thank you very much. And Deborah?
Hi, everyone. Good morning. My name is Deborah Gibra, and I am associated with the Sapphire Miriam Foundation as the in-house psychologist for that organization. I have almost 12 years experience being under the umbrella of the Trinidad and Tobago Association of Psychologists, and I am very versed in the educational aspect of psychology, as well as the counseling itinerary and the mental health aspect, especially dealing with the COVID-19 as we are experiencing right now.
Great. Thanks, ladies. So, especially mentioning the word COVID-19, let's talk about what is mental wellness.
Right. So, as you said before, mental wellness and mental health are terms that are used interchangeably. And mental health, as defined by the World Health Organization, is a state of well being in which every individual realizes his or her own potential and cope with the normal stresses of life and work productively and fruitfully, is able to make a contribution to his or her community. Whereas mental illness refers to your psychotic, your mood, and your anxiety disorders. So, by the very definition of mental wellness, COVID 19 has disrupted our definition of mental health because people's ability to work productively, their ability to make a contribution in their communities, to work fruitfully, has been impacted. In fact, the World Health Organization has projected that in a few years, by the year 2030, that mental health deaths from mental illness will surpass deaths by cardiac diseases, this is heart diseases, or cancer. It will be the number one cause of death. So this is the reason why programs like this are very important for us to start looking after our mental health.
Wow. Thank you very much, Candice. It's amazing that, people don't take their mental wellness and mental health as serious as, probably their physical health, as well as they should. But
Yes.
it's really serious. Deborah, what about your take on mental wellness?
Wellness. Well, my take on mental wellness is it is a positive state of mental health. So being
Yes.
well mentally would affect the entirety of your being, right?
Yes.
It is more than the absence of mental illness.
Right.
So discovering what being mentally well means and how we can help people to lead a fulfilling life, especially in this what is happening with our world right now. The importance of mental wellness, I would think that mentally well people, that is, are positive. They are self-assured, they are happy. Well, at least they portray this, right? Um, They are in control of their thoughts, they are in control of their emotions, their behavior. This enables them to handle challenges, build strong relationships, and enjoy life. So, achieving these mental health wellness, this will enable you to raise your own abilities or realize your own abilities. It will help you to cope with stress, all these stresses and stressors of this life and the challenges of life. It will engage people. You will be able to engage in productive work, contribute to your community. Sustaining mental health requires time and effort. The more you invest in your mental health, the stronger it will become.
Yes.
So true. Thank you
Definitely.
very much. And as we know, we have a lot of stressors around us, of late, especially over the past year, based on the COVID environment. People are very fearful, there's panic, you know, people have loved ones abroad, where conditions are worse. So there's always that, fear and that stress, and people are living in a sort of state of, terror and anxiety, especially when we hear the deaths rising or the cases rising. Um, how can you tell us a bit how has people's mental health or wellness been impacted, over this period of time, over the past year with this COVID pandemic?
Right. So very interesting from our definition where a mentally healthy person is supposed to be able to cope with the normal stresses of life. So we know at lining up to go into a grocery or pretty much anywhere, having your having to wash hands, sanitize, temperature checks, even the grief and the loss associated with the 100 and something plus deaths from COVID-19, online learning, where the teachers, where parents are the teachers, um, to having to wear a mask everywhere that you go. So all of these things are not the normal stressors of life. So these are ways in which everyone has been impacted. Even we have loss of jobs where people have uncertainty in their financial future. We hear lots of people unemployed daily. Um, we also have issues with the borders being closed, where at the beginning you were hearing a lot about people when they had to rush to the groceries trying to get all that they could have gotten. In all these ways, people have been impacted by the COVID-19.
Right. Thank you very much, Candice. And Deborah?
Uh, okay, so with regards to the COVID-19, pandemics on the whole can be stressful. Fear, anxiety, these are not new things that now popping up. It was always there. But when you are faced with these criteria for going out, as well as the teaching, teachers, students, for me, teachers, students, parents, they have a lot of anxiety.
Yes.
That could be overwhelming. It can cause a lot of strong emotions in adults. So you can imagine what's happening to students all over the world. I mean, not just in Trinidad and Tobago, but all over the world. But I mean, we would focus on here. This stress and anxiety, it makes it very, very difficult for students to learn. They have changes in sleep and eating patterns. They have difficulty concentrating. A lot of students are not equipped to handle online learning,
Yes.
as opposed to some, they like the one-on-one with face-to-face interaction besides using a computer. This is the reality of what we're living in right now. And teachers are getting burnout a lot. Parents, they don't know how to deal with it. Even up till now, with all these months of online teaching, it still is very, very difficult for a lot of parents, teachers, and students.
Yes.
Yes, that's so true. It's been a total, shift and adjustment, over the past, what's almost a year now. In every aspect of our life, things have changed, and this has obviously impacted on family life, with loss of income, loss of jobs. It would have impacted on the way people relate to each other.
Yeah.
Domestic violence, the rise of domestic violence. We have observed that as well within the home. There's a lot of tension, because even in the quarantining, people have been forced to quarantine and stay inside, more than before. So that within itself has created, a lot of tension. How What type of, illnesses, like mental illnesses, especially during this period of time, Candice, have you sort of noticed within your line, working within the public service, has been cropping up?
Well, I would definitely say anxiety. As you rightfully stated earlier, people are very anxious about catching the virus, anxious about just being out, anxious about how are they gonna do online classes, as Deborah mentioned before, anxious about their financial future. Some people lost their jobs, so that ability to provide for their family has been impacted. And then you see a close correlation with anxiety and depression, because you're anxious at first, and then when it's not relieved, and you can easily slip into becoming depressed.
Right, so true. And leading in, from depression, we can lead into, obviously, we've seen a few suicides, people not being able to cope with depression. Deborah, what have you seen, within your profession of late, cropping up with regards to, especially with the students, teachers, parenting type of atmosphere?
Well, what has come to our attention is that there's a lot of anxiety, and fear of the unknown, for example, we have the SEA coming up soon. And again, children were not able to grasp a lot of the material that they were supposed to grasp in a normal setting. So there's a lot of fear, there's a lot of anxiety, and yes, it does lead to depression because, for example, I'll give you one. There is this young woman. She goes to UE. She's not able or capable of doing online classes all the time because, for one thing, the home front is not what it's supposed to be for students. The parents always argue. She's under a lot of pressure at home. So this online work that she has to do, she has become depressed, very, very depressed. And that is having a very, very negative impact on her schoolwork. And she just has like one semester to finish. And it has been really, really difficult. I have been treating her for depression, which, if I could go a little further, you use things like CBT, which is the cognitive behavioral therapy, other therapy, and other counseling examples would be, the self-centered ones, where they would focus on themselves instead of focusing on the parents at large. So one of the major things, coming back to your question, is the fear and anxiety, and which, as Candice rightfully said, it is leading to depression.
Okay, yeah, that is so true. Not everybody can cope, during this time. And their home situations may not be conducive for learning, etc. So it will definitely have an impact on, students' learning and the results that they will get, as opposed to if they were under, typical normal conditions. Can we expand a bit on, like, what other types of mental illnesses have we come across, not only during COVID, but just generally? For example, okay, anxiety, depression. What about like bipolar disorders, etc.? Can you shed a little bit more light on a couple of the other mental illnesses?
Okay. Well, yeah, there are a lot of mental illnesses out there. We have things like antisocial personality disorder, avoidance. We have obsessive compulsive disorders. Bipolar disorder, though, is a disorder that is formerly called manic depression. It is a mental health condition that causes extreme mood swings. Some people would say that they are moody, but that doesn't mean that they are bipolar. Moodiness is just moodiness, right? So we have bipolar disorder. That is basically called manic depression. It is a mental health condition that causes extreme mood swings that include emotional highs and lows. Now, the highs will be mania and the lows will be depression. Some people, when they're suffering from bipolar disorder, it's a disease actually. They will tend to be depressed at one particular time, then they would be hyped on another time. Although they say that bipolar is a lifelong condition, there are ways and means that you can manage it, the symptoms and the treatment plan. This is something very deep. So you have to come in to see the clinician or a psychiatrist to be able to get medication as a whole.
Okay, thanks very much, Deborah. What about you, Candice? What other sort of mental illnesses have you come across in your profession?
Well, I think even before the COVID, so we were seeing definitely the upsurge in the domestic violence cases, right? And it will go back to people's ability to cope and what coping mechanisms they use. And when they, for lack of a better term, when they cornered or when they feel like their backs are against the wall, what are those mechanisms and what are they going to do? And of course, our coping mechanisms would have come about based on the way that we were socialized, the way that we were brought up. Our environment plays a big part. So most times, what we saw in our environment is what we ourselves will use to cope. So when we hear all of these murders on the murders of women on the radio, I know that there's an outcry for our men. We definitely, and our women, but we definitely want to get programs in place that we could teach positive coping mechanisms that people know what is normal and what is not normal coping mechanisms.
So true. It really is about fostering that positive environment that people can strive and live in harmony, to avoid, all those domestic situations. Because once mentally persons can't cope, you you find that they resort to other measures of coping, which normally ends in, some sort of domestic violence, murders, etc. That is so yeah, that's so true.
Yeah,
Uh,
most of the clients and that would suffer from depression, they tend to drink, drink alcohol, which is the worst thing you can do when you're under depression, when you're anxious. Some people said that they would take a smoker, the weed, they would take a puff, the marijuana. They say it's medicinal, but at the end of the day, those things are not, they are not genuine in a way that it will help. You need more things to deal with. And this is why I believe a lot in the cognitive behavioral therapy part of it. Retraining your thoughts, restructuring your thoughts, because it is it th- there are thoughts and there are thoughts. Now your thoughts will make you actionable. So controlling your thoughts eventually controls your emotions. So example, dealing with depression. Depression it drains you. It drains you, your energy, your hope, your drive, everything. It just drains you. And that is where when you restructure your thoughts, it really do help.
Great. That sounds like a wonderful, approach. Because sometimes people take the approach of they go straight to they self-medicate. They go straight to self-diagnosis and self-medication. So they diagnose, oh, well, I'm depressed or I'm anxious. Let me take a pill. I'll take some Prozac. I'll take this. I'll take that. And this could obviously lead to more damage being done, because they are not qualified, obviously, to diagnose themselves and treat themselves. And as you've mentioned, Deborah, there are alternatives, to just rather than directly going towards, medication. Um, Generally, mental health, yeah. I mean, we're discussing it now, as an open topic, but normally there's this taboo, especially within our Caribbean culture, where people don't really talk about it. They don't really want to admit or, say, well, I probably need help, I'm suffering from something, mentally. I believe, and I need some help. I think that has sort of hindered persons really getting the help. The fact that they may feel ashamed or that they may be persecuted in some way or looked upon in some way, shape, or form. How can we, this is why we at the Sophia Miriam Foundation are here, to support, to try to create a forum where persons can be supported, that they can actually come forward and say, well, I need help. And we can provide some sort of support, for them or direct them to where they can get, if it's government support services or private support or even support through our organization, as Deborah will be providing, screenings, etc., as our in-house psychologist.
It shows a great deal of strength in reaching out and asking for help. In the very same manner, if we have a problem with high blood pressure or diabetes, we seek help for that. It's absolutely normal in recognizing that you need to seek some help for your mental health. Services are private and confidential. And whether you live in Tobago, whether you live in San Fernando, whether you live Arima, Caranage, Port of Spain, there are a range of services available right where you are. So what you do is you simply log on to the Ministry of Health's website, where they have a directory of services where they will tell you exactly what facility is located close to you, the area, the district, the address, the telephone number, the days of operation, and the services that they offer, which could include psychotherapy, which is counseling, individual as well as family counseling. You have social work interventions, where based on assessment, a social worker could tell you about services where you can access social services, different grants, and so forth, and medication also where it is appropriate.
Great. Thanks very much, Candice. And also, privately at the Sophia Miriam Foundation, we have Deborah on board with us as our in house psychologist who will be providing screening. And that will be an opportunity for persons to acquire free screening so that we can, move on to the next step if they need testing or referral to other, organizations, etc. What about some tips that persons can take away now with them in order to help them cope, or remain mentally well during this time?
So it is normal to feel sad, stressed out, confused, angry, scared even during periods of crisis. And social distancing does not mean social isolation. So you want to talk to someone trusted about how you feel. Some tips I would like to leave is that we want to develop a regular sleep pattern on an average of 6 to 8 hours. You get your body in a rhythm, you go to bed at a particular time, you wake up at a particular time. I will say get active, because our exercise releases all sorts of chemicals that are good for our bodies. I will say at least 30 minutes most days of the week. You can go for a walk or in a class, even work out at home. And try as best as possible to eat a healthy diet consisting of local foods from our Caribbean food group. Laughter helps with stress. Take some deep breaths. We want to deal with our emotions positively, avoid drinking, smoking, or overeating to cope with your feelings. You want to read a good book, do something that you love. Do some gardening, plant a tomato, a cucumber, some thyme, anything just to help you to be able to cope positively during this time.
Thank you very much, Candice. Those are some essential tips, very simple things that, doesn't cost us anything to do. A lot of them, you just have to have the mindset and willpower to make that step forward to ensure that we are mentally well. It's, it's important to emphasize that we need to remove that stigma, and attached to mental health, mental wellness, mental illness. So that persons understand that it's important for them to be mentally well and to get and seek that help because they deserve to be healthy and happy. Therefore, at the Sophia Miriam Foundation, we encourage you to get help if you need. We are here for you. You can reach us on Facebook at the Sophia Miriam Foundation or via email at Simone Claxton. That's SIMONE CLAXTON 1818 at gmail.com. Please feel free to drop us a line if you need our support. Candice and Deborah, we'd just like to thank you, ladies, for joining us today. Thank you very much for your contributions and for your service. And please feel free to join us another time. Thank you. Okay, bye.
Bye.